guarding the California coast.
Right.
I remember seeing a movie that they were very afraid the Japanese would attack the coast.
Right.
Did you ever see any ships or anything come close?
A few times, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have to shoot at them?
No.
Yeah, a few times. Gladys told me, your father came here during the Second World War.
What?
Your father came down to Florida in the 1940s.
Yeah.
And Gladys said when she came to live with them, they would see German submarines off of Miami Beach.
Right. One of my friends in 1940 was on a ship called the Reuben James.
Oh, that's right.
The Germans submarine put it down.
That was the first ship that America lost, wasn't it?
That was 1940.
Yeah.
My boyhood friend was on that ship.
What was his name?
Maurice Hudlin.
Maurice Hudlin. Did you know there was a man named Woody Guthrie, a very famous singer, who wrote a song about that ship?
Yeah.
Did you ever hear it?
No.
He says, what were their names? Tell me what were their names? Did you have a friend on the good Reuben James? Yeah. What were their names? What were their names? Did you have a friend on the good Reuben James?
I never heard that one.
Yeah.
That was good though. You got a good voice.
Thank you. I've learned, I asked you once for a little voice lesson. You told me to pretend you're a porpoise and breathe through your head when you sing.
Right.
You remember, did someone teach you that?
I had about 10 lessons.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you give me another lesson? So, how old were you when you had voice lessons?
How old was I?
Yeah.
I don't know, about 24, 23, 24.
This is after the service?
This is before the service.
Before the service?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 23 when I went into the service.
So
I was in my early 20s. I was about 20 years old and took the voice lessons.
So you were born in 1917?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the World War I was still going on?
Yeah, I was a baby, of course.
Yeah. Did your father serve overseas?
No.
He served here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that he joined when he was 16.
Yeah, he did. He faked his name. He called himself Sherman.
Harry Sherman.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true because I don't know how, from Jenny, I guess I went to my mother all his papers, and when she died I got them. It shows him enlisting as a private as Henry Sherman,
right,
and coming out as a second lieutenant as Oscar Gehrig.
Right. That was in Vermont, I think.
Uh-huh. That was quite unusual for a Jewish man to volunteer for the army in the First World War.
Well, he was very young then, so
yeah.
He quit school when he was in 6th grade.
No.
But he was very, very smart man.
Very smart.
Very smart.
Gladys used to tell me everybody liked to talk to him. When he was here, he worked as a security guard, and all the famous people would talk to him.
Yeah.
He was very personable. Was he funny?
He was, yeah.
Now his father was Ike, right?
Ike the baker.
Ike the baker. He was a union baker.
Right.
And I heard he was very funny.
He was very funny, yeah.
Did he used to tell jokes, or he just used to laugh a lot?
He told natural jokes.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So how well did you know him?
Very well.
Yeah.
He died at the age of 93.
No.
Yeah.
No. And what was his wife's name?
God, I can't remember.
It's your grandmother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did she live alone?
She died about 5 years before he did.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Still a pretty good age.
Yeah.
And they lived in Boston,
Chelsea,
in
Massachusetts.
Chelsea, all their lives. So, Ike Gehrig, and tell me about this. I know that Jenny, I knew her, Aunt Ray, had a sister.
Aunt Ray, yeah.
This is your aunt, yeah. I heard she lost a son in the Coconut Grove fire.
Right.
How old were you when that happened? Do you remember?
I was in the service when that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
I heard she never got over it.
No. Her other son's name was Morris. They called him Moe.
Moe. Yeah.
Moe Supowitz.
Moe Supowitz.
Yeah.
Oh, because her married name was Supowitz.
Right.
And he had a son, Billy, right? Or no, Ray had a son named Billy.
No, his name wasn't Billy. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I know Gladys and I met him in Atlanta. So, Ray, I can't remember her husband's name. I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I think Mom said that even she was so beside herself, they gave her a lobotomy. They cut her brain a little bit so she wouldn't be so upset.
Right.
Do you remember that?
No.
Yeah. And one thing.
I was in the service when that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was 400 people died in that fire, I think.
Yeah.
They didn't have enough fire escapes.
His name was Barney.
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 Barney Supowitz.
Yeah.
Oh, you have a good memory. Tell me about his mother.
Pardon me?
Tell me about his mother.
She wants to know about Gladys. She never met Gladys.
Well, Gladys was a teacher, you know. She was my favorite sister. She really was.
What do you remember? What were some of the highlights you remember about her as growing up with her?
Pardon me?
What do you remember growing up with her? Like special moments growing up with her?
Everything was good when I was with her. I had no special moments. Addie was nice too. Ruth was 2 years older than me.
Mom always said she was difficult.
She was difficult, but I forgave her.
Yeah. Now, I think Mom told me she didn't talk to your father for 14 years or something.
Well, my father was a little too much in charge. He didn't say good things to her.
Uh-huh. He was strict with her.
He was very strict,
Yeah. I think Gladys told me too, she wanted to marry somebody and he wouldn't let her.
Well, she did get married.
You mean to Saul?
Yeah.
Yeah, but before that, I think she met somebody that he
Saul
didn't like.
College was his name.
I know Saul, yeah.
Yeah.
We were very close, you know, he got me my first job. He was,
My father got you?
no, Saul.
Saul did?
Yeah, he was working in a, what they used to call an Army-Navy store in Miami. They used to sell used Army equipment,
Uh-huh.
but they also had a garden section. They sold many things.
Right.
And they put me in, I was 16, and they put me in charge of the garden department.
Right.
And he sold all the surplus. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Right.
He would come over for Passover and all the holidays, and after we ate, he'd go out to his car and listen to ball games on the radio. You're still listening to ball games?
I watch them on television.
So how did the Red Sox do this year?
Not too well.
Not too good.
But I think they're going to be all right next spring.
Do they still have any of those star players that were in the
Well,
World
they have the
Series?
big Poppy still with them.
Mm-hmm.
A few other good ones.
I remember when they won the first World Series, you said to me, I never thought I'd live to see it. And then they won another one, didn't they?
Yeah,
Was it 2 years later?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. That must have surprised the heck out of you. Yeah. They waited long enough, didn't they? I think it was 1918 they last won.
Yeah.
I was always a big fan of Ted Williams.
Right.
You know, I saw him play once.
Very peculiar fellow. I have a book on him.
Really? He was a fisherman in old age, I
Yeah.
think. I had a fishing rod that was called the Ted Williams fishing rod.
Uh-huh.
But he got mad at people. I remember we threw a bat at the audience once. But he was a great batter. Nobody else had a batting average like him.
God, the last time he was up, he hit a home run. Last time he ever played.
I think he had over a 400 average, didn't he?
He had a very good eye.
They said if he hadn't had to serve in the Second World War, he would have broken all
Served in both
records.
the Second World War and Korea War.
Did he really?
Yeah.
So he lost the high point of his career. Amazing. He was a great baseball player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think he lived in Florida, didn't he, in his older age? I think he lived in
I'm
Florida.
not sure.
He loved to fish.
Yeah.
Did you ever fish?
When I was a kid.
Yeah. Where? In the Revere?
Revere, yeah.
Did you ever go to Addie's house in Marblehead?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we used to stay every summer, we'd drive up there, and Gladys and I would stay. My father would come up for a week, but we stayed for a month at least, and we would walk down to the water there in Swampscott, and we would fish every day and pick blueberries up in the hills.
Right.
Those are wonderful summers. Wonderful summers. And Lou was a prince.
Right.
I remember you told me a very interesting story. I hope you remember this. I think Oscar was sick in the hospital,
Yeah.
and you and Lou and Herb drove down in a car.
Right.
And you were in Georgia, and you had to ask directions, and you didn't know if they would like Jews or not in Georgia. And you went up to somebody and he started speaking Yiddish to you.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Right.
What did he say?
I can't remember.
You just walked up to the house and he started speaking Yiddish.
Right.
It must have
I
surprised
was
you.
with my father when he passed.
Were you?
3 o'clock in the morning
Mm.
in the hospital. He
Yeah.
was in the Army hospital.
Yeah, the Veterans Hospital.
Veterans Hospital.
Was that here in Coral Gables at the big one, or is it?
It was a big hospital.
Yeah, it's in Coral Gables.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Was he awake and conscious?
He was sort of half awake.
Yeah. He died of heart disease, didn't he?
Yeah. 3 o'clock in the morning he died.
That must have been hard.
Oh yeah.
You know, everybody. You know, my mother, she never got over that. I remember when I was a kid, she felt so guilty that she moved back to Boston
Right.
after she got married, and she would cry. You should cry thinking. I can remember being 4 or 5 years old, and she'd sit there crying. She missed him terribly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Were they observant? Like spiritually observant, Taurus observant?
What's that?
No, were they religious at all, your parents?
Not truly.
Yeah. Now, I remember a story.
We used to go to the shul on holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You told me when you got bar mitzvahed, your father took the rabbi up on his shoulder.
Picked him up like that. He was very powerful. He was a little rabbi. Rabbi Sherman.
Rabbi Sherman. And he said, "Thank you for bar mitzvah, my
Yeah.
son." You must have had a little to drink that day too.
A little bit, yeah.
What did he like to drink?
Well, he only drank when he was, he went out with his partner, an Irishman. His name was Tim Kelly. He really was an anti-Semite.
Right.
Yeah. If it wasn't for him, my father would have never drunk.
Irish know how to drink.
Yeah.
So would they drink whiskey, you think? Irish
I guess
whiskey?
so.
Yeah. So this was the guy that was the anti-Semite.
Yeah.
I heard your dad, he gave him a hard time on the railroad, right? He was a railroad cop. I remember, like, he wanted to quit because of this guy. Did you tell me
His boss was an anti-Semite.
Oh, it
too.
was this. Oh, this is a friend. No, his boss was an anti-Semite too. They were Irish Catholics.
Yeah.
Wow.
So someone told me, maybe it was you, that in the Second World War, your father wanted to enlist again. He wanted to enlist in the army,
He did, yeah. He wanted to.
but didn't his boss call the
They
FBI?
wouldn't let him in because of his age. He
Oh,
was too old.
I thought you said his boss called the FBI and said your father was a communist.
That's probably true, yeah.
Did he ever take you to the railroad where he worked?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go to Hebrew school after school?
Did I go to Hebrew school?
After school or during, yeah.
I used to walk up a hill to my Hebrew teacher in Revere.
Uh-huh. He taught you your bar mitzvah.
I didn't go to school, but I just went to his home.
Yeah, yeah. I heard a story about Minnie, your grandmother,
Yeah,
that she had a sister in New Hampshire.
yeah.
And my mother told me that when she would leave and go to visit her sister, all the bacon and ham would come out in the house because she must have kept kosher.
Oh, yeah.
And then when she would come back, she would come into the house and go, I smell treif. So she kept kosher, Minnie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was she?
Izzy, Yankee, Jake, and Sam, we're the boys that ain't no ham.
Give a yell, give a yell, give a good substantial yell, and when we yell like hell. This is what we, yeah. So I used to say that. Ibby, where's she saying?
I got that.
You told me once that some of the boys in your neighborhood were anti-Semitic, and,
Oh, yeah.
and they chased you and said you were a Christ killer.
I said, but I didn't really mean to do it.
And they let you go?
Oh, yeah.
Did they used
They
to?
started laughing then.
Wow.
But that was a big problem, wasn't it? The Catholics were very
Oh, yeah,
anti-Semitic.
but that was very anti-Semitic in mine.
So there was a Father Cloughlin who had a radio program in Boston who was very anti-Semitic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Father McLaughlin, I think.
Yeah, Father McLaughlin, yeah. That's a big problem. I heard that it was only after the war that it started to let up because I guess there's so many Jews served, they saw we didn't have horns.
Right.
Yeah. Did you experience anti-Semitism in the army?
At first, but then they got to like me. Yeah.
You look like one of them.
Right.